Hey everybody, it's Party Elite with another episode of Total Breakdown. This submission comes from Hussar, who plays the Empire, battling Bretonnia led by wowasg. This game is from ESL a few weeks ago and is a great display of charge denial and defeat in detail tactics. So let's jump right into army composition. The Empire is coming in with a General of the Empire in charge, alongside a Light Wizard, 4 units of Spearmen, 5 units of Swordsmen, a unit of crossbowmen, 2 units of handgunners, and 3 units of Demigryph Knights with halberds. Meanwhile, Bretonnia's got Leoncoeur in charge, 2 paladins, 2 units of spearmen at arms, 2 units of men at arms, 2 units of peasant bowmen, and 6 units of Knights of the Realm. Again, this is an ESL game, so the rules are in effect. Let's take a look at how this breaks down on the battlefield. So as always, let's start with a little preview of what we're about to see. You'll notice both the Empire and Bretonnia have taken relatively defensive stances. This sort of shape here from the Empire just to hold off any charges, and whether from the front from infantry or from the rear from cavalry. And back here, these Demigryph Knights with halberds as well, tucked away behind this little hill here, so Bretonnia doesn't actually know they exist. They are hidden, and this, I suppose, is to support any rear charges that might come in if Bretonnia played aggressively. But Bretonnia has also got sort of a defensive layout here, trying to keep this little hill here, get that height advantage, and also hoping to lure the Empire in so that there can be some flanking maneuvers done here by the cavalry on either side, as well as the paladins and Leoncoeur, of course. So initially, straight off the bat, the Empire does take an aggressive route. You'll see that movement order goes straight up ahead, so not spending too much time relaxing back there, going full aggressive. And I imagine at least one of these Knights of the Realm were spotted, perhaps both of them. So Hussar, seeing the advantage there, numerical and unit type, has decided to go aggressively over to this side. Meanwhile, over here, Bretonnia is pushing forward with all of these units, trying to get into the rear, get in from the sides. So that's a good call, some early aggression from both sides, really. And it looks like on this side, Bretonnia's noticed this situation and is pulling back. So good call there. Meanwhile, on the topic of pulling back, these paladins are coming in, and you'll notice that the Empire has pulled its movement order back as well. So doing things like that is extremely helpful, where you give a large-scale move order, and then halfway through you can adjust the order. It's good so that you can progress unhindered, and if you need to react to something, you're able to react very quickly. So, good call. They're trying to form up these lines again as these paladins come in, and you'll notice the General and the Light Wizard quickly start swooping back in to provide support as possible. These Demigryph Knights with halberds, they stay put for now, and a net goes down here, holding both of these paladins in place so that these handgunners can back away, stay safe, and open fire, and these swordsmen can can start hacking at this paladin. Meanwhile, the Light Wizard and the General come in as well, just to pummel and get some extra damage in there. You'll see the morale drops extremely quickly, and in response, these Knights of the Realm are being sent in on a full charge. Now, this charge could have been much better planned had it been targeted like this, as sort of a scooping maneuver, or if some of the units came in from the rear, then these range units would have been caught after these spearmen had been punctured through from the rear. Instead, this sideways approach means that all these Knights of the Realm actually get caught up in these spearmen, and as you can see, these spearmen are now responding right away. All the range units are also being called into action to open fire on this paladin, while the Light Wizard and the General of the Empire are taking care of this paladin as well. If you rout them early, obviously that's better for everybody, except for your opponent, I guess. So meanwhile, these Knights of the Realm are forced to retreat because these Demigryph Knights with halberds are pushing in fast. Now again, a little bit more of a nuanced order would mean they wouldn't have been trapped by these swordsmen. You just want to get really specific sometimes, because obstruction like that can cause you to lose a flank, honestly, if it is a bit more hindering than it was right here. So be a bit careful with that, is what I'd say. Nuance those orders, give those curved orders when necessary, just to make sure your units are as efficient as possible. And you'll see as soon as these Knights of the Realm get caught by these Demigryph Knights, a significant amount of damage, both hit points and morale, takes place. So Leoncoeur comes in response alongside this paladin, and the Demigryph Knights do pull back, as does the entire Empire formation. Again, initially they were ordered to move up here, then they were pulled back to stay stationary here while the paladins came in, and now they're being pulled back here, because Hussar wants to take care of the cavalry units first. He has the cavalry advantage. His Demigryph Knights with halberds are anti-large, and if he's able to take control of the field and get rid of the Bretonnian cavalry, he has a full advantage, owns the land completely, and he can move and be as aggressive as he wants to be. Right now, if he was to engage straight ahead, Bretonnia would be able to get rear charges in with both sets of Knights of the Realm, and then the Demigryph Knights would be responsive. Instead, Hussar has decided to be extremely, extremely aggressive and proactive with his offensive style. Again, this is, I've mentioned in a guide video before, this is the thinking behind defeat in detail. You want to take your enemy's army into parts and defeat them one step at a time. So you'll see he's focused down on these two Knights of the Realm. He outnumbers them. These guys are coming in as well, so right away he peels away one unit because man to man, horse to horse, or I guess horse to Demigryph, the Demigryph Knights would win. These guys peel away, there's no reason to give chase, pulls them right back in. So this is great play, just focusing down on these two units, trying to get rid of them first, and then planning on focusing on the other cavalry units right away afterwards. Great thinking. And meanwhile, the Light Wizard as well coming in, providing some support, dropping the net, holding all of these units in place, and look at how quickly the health and the morale drops. These guys have already given up on this battle. Meanwhile, over here, these guys trying to come in for another interception with the Demigryph Knights. Bretonnia should never try and take on Demigryph Knights with halberds specifically. There's no chance there. Instead, the aggression should have been here. Had Bretonnia been more aggressive against the Empire lines, the Empire would have been forced on the back foot. You can't just leave Bretonnian Knights of the Realm charging into your troops. You've got a lot of swordsmen and range units as well. They would not just have been left alone. It would have forced Hussar to think about, maybe pulling back, and that hesitation can make all the difference. Like here, for example, focusing in with these paladins and Leoncoeur really helped. It probably did a fair share of the damage that was done to this unit of Demigryph Knights, and forced Hussar to pull back his units. So again, you need to really control your engagements, and don't always react to the opponent's plays, because again, here you'll see another net goes down, and once again, these Demigryph Knights are being sent in. And these paladins and Leoncoeur, all too busy here. All of these units as well coming in to engage against the Empire's plays, whereas these guys could have very well pushed down this way. So overall, it was just some missed opportunities, I would say, from Bretonnia. A little bit more aggression could have gone a long way, and you'll see again just sort of pulling these units back because Hussar at this point really owns the land. All four of these units are more or less taken care of. They're so low on HP, their morale very quick to break as well because of how much damage they've taken. And meanwhile, this unit of Knights of the Realm, that's the only one that'll provide any kind of support to the Bretonnian lines. And again, it's just one unit against 3 units of Demigryph Knights. Now, I will say though, these Demigryph Knights are being ordered through the formation. This was an ideal time to just force in some offensive charges because they have to go through these obstructions. And when cavalry is going through obstructions, you can see they clump up, they slow down. It really hinders their response speed. So it would have been the ideal time to be a lot more aggressive. But instead, again, going really slowly off to this side, maybe trying to plan a rear flank. And again, just a little indecisive, deciding to pull back, and this net goes down beautifully, catches all of these units. These Demigryph Knights with halberds are going to have a great time. They roll right in, and it's the extended duration as well. It's upgraded, so that's going to last a while. And that's more than enough time for these Knights again to come in, and look at how quickly they drop in morale and in health. These guys were left alone, so they got the least amount of damage, but then in comes the general just to pick them off, take care of the cavalry completely. So great play there by Hussar, focusing down on the cavalry, and now an important support structure that Bretonnia had is gone. In fact, one of Bretonnia's greatest assets has been completely driven off the field. Meanwhile, over here, you'll see Leoncoeur and this paladin have dropped in to try and engage some of these handgunners, cause some damage, but this aggression is far too late. It should have happened a lot sooner when Hussar didn't have the confidence to be so aggressive. You'll see they're moving in for the attack. This is not a move order. They're not planning on stationing here and then pondering what to do next. They're just pushing straight ahead. Ranged fire going in right now. So again, Leoncoeur and those paladins should have been involved a lot sooner, and even now just sort of walking away. There's no reason to do that. Pull in, attack these swordsmen. They're isolated. If these spearmen respond, then come back to these handgunners, because right now the handgunners don't have much value. It's boiling down to a melee engagement, and so it's a lot more important to take care of some of these melee units. Meanwhile, you'll see on this side over here, off in the distance, the general did chase off a unit, so he's all the way at the edge of the map. He should have been pulled back a lot sooner, but these Demigryph Knights with halberds, they just control this territory now. They're able to just come in completely calmly to create this flanking maneuver. Meanwhile, these Knights of the Realm, they really should have been pulled back, and they should have been aggressive as well, especially at this point, because the Demigryph Knights, to respond, they'd have to go through this rock, which of course they can't. So there was a momentary advantage there, but with some nice maneuvering and a good attack from the side, maybe no attention was being paid here. At least that's what it looks like. Get a nice hit on these Knights of the Realm with all three of these Demigryph Knights, and not even concerned about these men-at-arms or these spearmen or anything. The significant amount of damage being done here is well worth losing one single unit of Demigryph Knights with halberds. I would say it would have been wise to pull back the remaining two, just keep this low health one in there, but it's okay. It might be maybe a sense of overconfidence, might be a desperation to take care of the cavalry in its entirety, but nonetheless, once Leoncoeur and the paladins come in, it's time to pull back. These guys have broken, unfortunately. These guys are low on health and morale, so a bit of a tight situation. But again, overall, a good situation for the Empire. As you can see, their numbers far, outweigh the Bretonnian numbers, and you'll see it's almost twice as much on the field for the Empire than there is for Bretonnia. Now, at this point, though, a couple mistakes from Hussar. You'll notice that most of the aggression is just head-on. Some of these units back there relaxing, they could have been sent this way, or sure, it's fair to keep them in reserve, but you do want to pull them a lot closer. Meanwhile, the general is sort of floating there. He should have been there helping take care of this paladin, or distracted so that these guys weren't driven so far off the field. They could have been pulled in a lot sooner to attack. Meanwhile, these spearmen here, they were pulled in to attack from the side. It would have been much better to just pull them in from the rear. I understand leaving some empty space for these Demigryph Knights, but that would have helped the combat resolve a lot quicker. Meanwhile, you'll see here this charge comes in doing tremendous amounts of morale damage. Watch how quickly the morale drops for some of these units, and that's what happens when you have a rear charge going on. You've already got the advantage in terms of numbers, and, well, it's Bretonnia on the other side. The morale is not the highest, so all these guys break so quickly, so readily, and this is sort of where it caps off, I would say, for the Empire. The win goes the Empire's way. Even if all of these troops from Bretonnia were able to recover, they'd be so disparate because, again, they're routing. It's not a controlled withdrawal, it's a complete rout. So even if they were to recover, they'd be so disparate that the cavalry and the general of the Empire would be able to go in one at a time and just pick off these units. So overall, this is where it all comes to an end, though I will, I'll speed it up a little bit. It makes sense to keep playing, obviously, especially when it's a tournament. You don't want to just quit unless you're trying to play for the draw. Don't do that. So it doesn't make sense to quit when you do have two paladins and Leoncoeur on the field. Of course, regeneration and health potions can make a huge difference, though, looking around the field, actually, now that I've said that, I think it was pretty evident that there was no chance for Bretonnia here. You'll see some of these units are recovering, but again, just chasing them down. There's no reason for Bretonnia to stay concentrated, really, so just chasing them down, trying to open fire on these enemy units, on these lords and heroes, distract them, pull them back and forth. Obviously, they can do a significant amount of damage and very quickly cause units to break, and right now they're just chasing Leoncoeur around the general around the field a little bit, but obviously they're capable units. They can cause a significant amount of damage, and this is more, I imagine Hussar was just feeling annoyed at this point that he has to still deal with these units. Of course, I might be wrong. This might be a hell of a lot of fun, but I never enjoy doing it. And you'll see very quickly, these paladins getting surrounded, so not doing the best to try and keep these alive ultimately. And, chasing down the general is a good idea, obviously. You want to try and get that morale debuff, but at the end of the day, severely outnumbered, and now there are no units on the ground for Bretonnia either, so they're going to lose. Unfortunately, before they do, they are able to very tediously, there you go, kill the general of the Empire. So he's not going home. He's not getting all the celebration he deserves for pulling off this great tactic. Well played, well thought out. Take care of the enemy cavalry first, because that's what they've got that can outnumber you, that can really hurt you if they're just left to play as they want. So it was great to go in there, take care of them first, do a serious amount of damage, and then focus in on the infantry that has very low morale, is low in terms of quality as well. It's not the backbone of Bretonnia. So, really well played there, and you'll see it's a decisive victory. I thought it was great to see that in action, and again, recently I'd done that episode on Defeat in Detail, which is why this replay really came to mind, because this is a perfect textbook example of it. I hope this breakdown really shows the value of taking a tactical approach to your battles. If the Knights of the Realm hadn't been taken care of first, they would have been free to cause a tremendous amount of damage to the Empire's infantry, both physical and in terms of morale, and it could have led to an easy win for Bretonnia. I hope it also shows the importance of knowing when to take an aggressive position. wowasg was on the back foot the entirety of the battle, and some early aggression could have helped seal a victory for the lady. Honestly, if some of those Knights of the Realm had been going in and hitting those swordsmen and the ranged units early on, it would have forced Hussar onto the back foot, and the Empire would have had to play a bit more defensively. Those Demigryph Knights might have been pulled back a lot more. The Winds of Magic may have been used up on defensive play as opposed to offensive play, so those small decisions there to be, or rather the lack of decision there, to be aggressive or defensive, to be sort of on the fence, really cost Bretonnia. As always, this is a collaborative segment, so if you saw something that I missed or have points of your own, make sure to share. And of course, for more Total War content, make sure you subscribe to this channel and keep those battle submissions coming. I've got quite a few on hand, and I enjoy battles at all tiers, so if you've got tournament battles as well, feel free to send those in too, of course. I feel this is a great way to learn from practical examples. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the battlefield.